Today's episode of DRL is brought to you by Hella Cocktail Company. My guests don't just come to DRL for me. They also come for the cocktails. Luckily, my friends at Hella Cocktail Company have my back. These guys make amazing mixes, from Bloody Mary to Margarita to Moscow Mule. They also make cocktail bitters, my secret ingredient, and now yours too. It's easy to feel like the best bartender in town when every bottle comes with a simple recipe on it. Hella Cocktail Company, bold flavor, real ingredients, hospitality. Mixing it up since 2011. Shop the collection on Amazon Prime or use code DRL online at hellacocktail.co for free shipping. Hello, my lovely listeners. Welcome back to another episode of DRL, where we're talking everything dating, relationships, and love. I'm your host, Tennesha Wood. So I have to say right now, I think I'm on a really good relationship streak. There's times where like things are like bad, like it just doesn't feel good. And then there's times where things are really good. And here's what I did to start this good relationship streak. I want to talk to my guest about this, so I'm going to introduce her. Hi, Issei. How are you?
Hi, how are you, Tennesha?
I'm good. So here's the thing I did with this good relationship streak that I've been on. So Chris has been working a lot. Like he literally sometimes works like 16 hours a day. And so he tends to be really tired. And in my mind, I don't always think that he has the time to have the conversations I want to have. And so I'll tell him things in passing. Over the last couple months at like the volume he's been working, like I really felt like we haven't sat down and had a real conversation about some of the things that have been going on. And so I said to him, I said, look, here's what I need you to do. I'm going to talk for 10 minutes and I don't want you to say anything. I don't want you to react. I don't want you to defend. I don't want you to praise. I just want you to say nothing and listen for 10 minutes.
Okay.
And he said, okay. And so I literally just started blurting things out that have been in my head. I just let it all out. I didn't have any order. It was just random bullet points that have been floating around in my head. So at first, he came to something where he was like, well, I don't necessarily. And I was like, this is listening time, remember?
Right.
And I offered him the same floor after. I said, so it is now your turn to talk. And if you want me to just shut up for 10 minutes, I will. And that was so helpful. It was so helpful. I feel like, yeah, a conversation is two people expressing and sharing their feelings. But sometimes, like, it's just good to talk without people talking. It's just good to, like, have your partner shut up and just listen to you, you know?
And so giving them the opportunity to be able to say what they need to say.
Exactly.
If you have something to say, that means they too.
Exactly. And so I just blurted out everything that was happening, what I was feeling. And since then, I feel like, even without a full conversation and diving deep into it, just me saying it, like things have improved. And we've been on this really great streak. Now he's still really busy. He's still working like 16 hours a day. You know, there's still things that are happening with me and what I'm going through. But I don't know. I felt heard.
Yeah.
I really felt actually heard. And things have been a lot better since then.
Don't
like they're just been flowing. Yes. Yeah. So I highly recommend with your partner.
Yeah.
Literally just say, hey, I need 5, 10, however long you need. Don't make it an hour. That's excessive.
No. Like, that's not
I need 5 to 15 minutes for you just to sit and listen and don't say anything. Because sometimes our own thoughts are clouded by people's reactions, especially somebody as close as your partner. It could be easy, I think, to, depending on what their reaction is, like maybe it can diminish your thought or change your, you know, and it's like, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to be heard.
Yeah.
And so
and he heard you, because obviously you're feeling good.
Yes, I'm feeling better. Things are changing. So yeah, it feels
definitely will try
feels
that.
good when you're heard. So try that out.
Exactly.
How are you doing?
I'm good. You know, it's funny. I've been really busy too. I'm like, damn, maybe I do need to check in with my husband, because literally last week we did a graduate conference and it was just so much going on that I didn't realize how much I wasn't at home. And I opened the fridge and I was like, for breakfast, I'm going to eat leftovers. And there was no leftovers in the fridge. And I kind of realized like, whoa, I have not really been here. And I didn't check in like with my husband. Luckily, that what happened with the food leftover is the first day of our conference, I got home exhausted and I started taking out food to cook. And he was just like, no, don't do it. Like, just rest. But I felt that because I'm so busy, I need to do something for him, right? And we didn't have this check-in, but I know a way for making sure that my husband is good is that he has food, right?
Right.
I don't know. I think that's just something I mentally have put in for myself. So,
Same.
yeah, just going into the fridge made me realize that I wasn't there, and it also made me realize, like, wow, I need to kind of be present this weekend or whenever we're able to have some time. So, and that's one of the topics that was talked about in the conference was, you know, how men aren't really sometimes allowed to be vulnerable and share their feelings. And it was just like I got to make sure he's okay, because we're always thinking about us or the female.
And our emotions.
Yeah, if the wife ain't right, life ain't right type
Right.
thing. And it's just like, wait, hold on. How is hubby doing? How's he doing, bro? How's he doing? And so, yes, I do need to do a check-in on him. I do need to stop being so busy, but it is good when you feel good and everything works out, right?
Yeah. And I don't even think it's that we have to stop being busy. I think it's just like communicating within that and still letting your feelings be heard within that. Because sometimes there is nothing you can do about it. Like, you're in grad school right now. You got a bunch of things going on. Like, it kind of is what it is, but it's still important to let people know how you're feeling about them and that their feelings are important to you.
Yeah.
With what you were saying about men earlier and not getting to really express or be vulnerable, I was thinking about this one day, how women, in every interaction, we get affection, right? Mm-hmm. So you walked in the door, we hugged.
Yeah.
You know, if you see your mom or your sister or whomever later, like, you're going to hug. Like, it's just sort of a natural thing that we do with each other. And then on top of that, with the men in our lives, right? But men don't always have that opportunity. You know, when they see their friends, they might not be showing affection like that. They might not hug. They might not embrace. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, like, a woman in a relationship with a man is his only source of affection in that way. Yeah. You know? Whereas women, we get it from so many people, so many different things that it's always like we're always abundantly filled with it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I just thought about that. Yeah.
We gotta love our men, our brothers, our sons, you know, so they can have that black boy joy, you know,
exactly.
They can be able to flourish and be able to be good to others, because I think once we allow them to, or force them, you know, to always just shut in and close up, that's how we kind of live in this cold world. But once we realize that, wow, someone loves me and it's okay to hug or it's okay to cry.
And that's why toxic masculinity exists, at least a piece of it anyway, because like they don't have that constant affection and the ability to be vulnerable. And so it creates a lot of this like, I'm male, you know, and it's just like, it's not necessary.
Or me. Oh my God. Okay. So let me tell you, I'm really aggressive, super tough love. I grew up like a tomboy. I have 2 brothers, right? So I'm like rough.
Are you the only girl?
Yeah, I am the only girl. I'm rough, you know, and my husband is the total opposite. He's so gentle and soft and everything that I just didn't think I needed in someone. And so it's so funny because like when he's like, you know, Puerto Ricans are like really affectionate. You're loving people. They're warm. It's like in the climate. He's not like me. And that helps me be warm. That helps me be more patient. That helps me be more touchy-feely. Like, I love to give hugs, but I hate when people try to hug me or touch me. I'm like, let me do this.
I will come to you. Don't come for me unless I send for you.
Hello, you know, thank you. That's all we have to do, right? And with him, I'm just learning like to be more open, to be more present, and to like be vulnerable, like, you know. And it's just really interesting because who would have thought like maybe a sister or a friend or aunt would have encouraged me to be that way. And it's like, this man.
How long have you guys been married?
We're going on our 2nd year this year in July. So we're still newlyweds technically. We met back in 2017. So everything just happened like that.
Rapidly.
Yeah.
Okay, well, bring us back. How did you guys meet? All that.
I am one of those lucky people who swiped right.
You guys met on Tinder.
We met on Tinder.
Okay. See, I tell you all, it's completely possible.
It is. You know, like I understand that it hasn't really worked for a lot of people and there's a lot of negative notions, but there also is a lot of people who meet soulmates or just a good match, you know, on Tinder. And we swiped right and just instantly had a great connection. And he was familiar of my Liberian culture, which is also like not usual.
So he's Puerto Rican.
He's Puerto Rican.
Born, raised here?
Born and raised.
Okay. You're Liberian. Were you born in Liberia or were you born in the
I was
States?
born in Georgia.
And so why was he so familiar with Liberian culture?
Actually had to do a project on that. And so he picked Liberia, so he just had information. And it's just like, how random, you know?
I've been doing all this research for my now wife.
Exactly. You know, things work out because like I'm like madly in love with Puerto Rico in a way. And like the fact that he wasn't madly in love, but he was familiar. And that was attractive. We went out. It was like after just a meeting. I have a sister care girl group, and we encouraged each other, and they just like motivated me to just go because I was kind of in denial, like I don't know.
Why did you not want to go out with him initially? Like, what was your apprehension?
He wasn't my type. It's like it was like one photo that saved him, and this is what I tell him: like, you have one photo. Like the other ones, I wasn't sure because he's like kind of cute, but you can tell he's like kind of corny. But then like I don't know, you know, like real shit. And then like he had this one picture of him like looking out to the mountains. So I'm like, okay, he's fine. All right, cool. Let's see. But then the fact that like up until meeting, he was like reaching out to me, checking on me, and I just kind of thought that was lame because, you know, usually the asshole guys that you dated before don't show.
Why do we like these games? When they say nice guys finish last,
they really do.
It's true because it's things like that where it's like, I mean, like, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. It's like, do you have nothing better to do? He's like calling me. He's checking in with me. It's like, bro. But at the same time, when we can't get somebody's attention, it's like, well, I just wish he would. Why can't he just?
Yep.
And so we kind of have to be aware of these. I don't know if they're biases towards men that are available to us. Have you been watching Love is Blind?
No, I haven't, but I've heard.
Okay.
I've read.
There is this one thing that this one woman says, and I'm still haunted by it. Oh, God. This girl named Jessica, she essentially was paired with this guy, and they're engaged. Is how the show is. You get engaged to a person after talking to them through these pods. So they get engaged. They have like this connection. As soon as she sees him, she's not necessarily like physically attracted to him, and I think that sort of informed everything else. And she was also older than him, and she was like, he's so young, and she was making all these excuses. Right. But long story short, one of the things that she said was, he's just like so emotionally available, and that's a red flag to me. I was like, what? Are you out your... But I'm like, something happened to her, or she's been conditioned to think a certain way that because this man is so into me, he must have nothing else going on, or nobody else must want him. And so now in her mind, he's actually less than. It was crazy. But she literally said, he's just emotionally available, and that's a red flag. And I'm like, oh, my Lord.
Yeah. Like, what do we do?
You went on a date anyway.
Yeah, we went on a date. And on that date, we were so into each other. Like, we were just talking for hours. And then the waiter came like, so you guys going to order or what? And we're like, oh, yeah, we did come to eat, huh? Right? I never had that experience with anyone that I just wanted to just continue to talk to them. So after that date, you know, just constantly checking up on me if I had something to eat, if I wanted something. And then once I realized like where he lived, I'm like, you live like far, like you're not even in the metro area right now, and you're like still coming to. He worked in the city, so it was kind of like on his way. But the fact of just seeing him put in so much effort, and it was just like, oh, this is really cute. Like I'm really into this guy, but I don't know, you know.
What were you still? I don't know about at that point, being that you'd gone out, you had such a connection. He was showing you that he liked you.
It was myself. It was my own limitations, my own insecurities. And I actually had to pray a lot. And I would say, God, help me realize that I don't need to be with this other person that treats me bad for them before they treat me good for me to want them. Like, help me realize that this person who's right in front of me is trying and is caring. Let me be less of me and be more, you know what I'm saying, open to receive this. So love. You
realized in that moment that it wasn't him, it was you.
Oh yeah. Because, you know, we all have, you know, our problems. I know I have my daddy issues and like lover issues and all that stuff. And I talked myself into not wanting someone. And especially like with moving away to Puerto Rico, and I had probably been living here for like 2 years before I met him, right? So I have like really distanced myself from a lot of people, and I put things on my terms how I wanted. So to have this man who was like saying like I want to come into this world versus, you know, you trying to bring someone into your world, right? Made me just kind of just take a step back, like, all right, Lord, I know I'm not perfect, and maybe I want someone, maybe I really want someone. I'm trying to pretend I don't because everyone has left me or something, or the guys who I thought I wanted left me, right? Even like my birth father in the situation, right? And so then you start realizing, like, no, there's people who genuinely care about you, whether they're friends or, lovers. But we, once again, have our own limitations that we push people away. And I didn't want that anymore because especially with being in Puerto Rico and, kind of feeling alone in a way, I said, let me check. So once again, I just prayed about it. I journaled about it. And he just was like, daily checking on me and daily just seeing if I was good. And I traveled, I went away, and I came back just to see, like, maybe if I really liked him.
They say if you love something, let it go. If it comes back, then that's how you know.
That's exactly how you know.
She was like, I had to leave, make sure it was right.
And the thing that sold me, so I had like all these books, and being a broke college student, I just had them on these milk carts, right? And he goes, why don't you have a bookshelf? I'm like, why do I need a bookshelf when I have this cool milk cart? And he goes, I'm going to build you a bookshelf. And I'm like, okay.
Oh!
See.
I like a man that builds things.
Wait. So exactly. So I was like, okay, he's going to build me a bookshelf, something like this. And while I'm in the trip, I was in Mexico at the time. Someone shared something on the internet, and it was a bookshelf in the shape of Africa. And I just sent it to him, just not even thinking about the bookshelf. I kind of even forgot we mentioned bookshelves because, when guys say they're going to do something, you hear them, but you don't really believe them. So I just figured he was just talking, especially since we're just starting to dating, but I don't know. And the day before I got back from Mexico, he was like telling me, we had to do this. And he was like, the bookshelf made this way. And it took a long time because we had to draw up the map. And I was like, the map for a bookshelf? Like, the hell are you talking about? Right? And so he sends me the picture, and it is a bookshelf in the goddamn shape of Africa. And I'm like,
oh my God.
This man done build me the bookshelf.
See, when a man wants you, he doesn't waste time.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the tip of the day. When a man wants you, like, you just know. Yeah. If you have to ask, if you have to wonder, that's a no.
It's a no. And I realized
Take mixed signals as a no.
Exactly. These men know what they want. He was in a relationship before, and I was also in a relationship before we met each other. And I think we literally had gave him that final breakup months, maybe 3 months before me and him met, right? And his ex wanted to get married, and he wasn't ready and said no. And I was trying to get my ex to be like, yo, you gotta you know what I'm saying, commit. I'm the shit. You know what I'm saying, get with the program. And to know my husband wasn't ready with this person, and that other person who I thought wasn't ready either. And I was not really trying to be ready for my husband because I was like, what the hell? I'm not trying to be in a relationship after this. And I mean, neither was he, but it just happened, right? Because once again, he knew what he wanted. And I kind of knew, but I was just like, I'm not sure, right? And so not only does a man know what they want, but I also feel like sometimes what we think we want isn't what we need.
100%.
And we have to realize that. And so the men that I thought that I wanted in my life were definitely not who I needed. And this total opposite person who I totally need in my life. I mean, now I've totally want my man. I love my man. You know what I'm saying? It's just but because I had so many insecurities and so many bad situations, and all of those men were these bad images of who my birth father was. You know what I'm saying? And
before your husband, did you realize that you had these insecurities and that you were choosing wrong, or you were just living in it and you didn't even see it?
I think I kind of saw, but I think I was trying to make something out of nothing because I figured maybe if I could do what my mom didn't do, or if I can make him love me, then I'm doing something right versus this man loves me. And I probably have had people in my life who wanted me, but I'm like, you're just not it because they had the same situation. So I feel like my husband is a total opposite of any person I've ever dated, ever in my life,
But you probably needed to go through all those people and experience those things.
Exactly.
Sometimes life is about weeding out what you don't want. Sometimes it's you go through and it's why is this happening? Why am I doing this? Why am I with this person? Why am I at this job? And it's all to figure out these are the exact things that I don't want or that I don't need.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm just grateful that I just had someone who just opened my eyes, not only to myself, but what is love. And it's just like, I hope everyone gets to feel something like this, you know? Because before I used to kind of look at love like, whatever, like, okay, the lovers, or I'll never get married, or I want to get married, but not now. Just all of these excuses. And now that I have been able to experience something as beautiful as this, I hope everyone gets to experience. I think once you start getting focused on other things, or once again realizing that the wants and your needs weren't in the same category at one point, you'll be encouraged to try something new. You'll be encouraged to go learn a new hobby. You'll be encouraged to meet new people and not be scared, because, you know, we're in a society that everything has to be the same, and it just really doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
You know, and the fact that we're total opposites in a way, but we're also very similar. Like the longer that we've been together, it's like, yo, that's the homie, you know, like that's my, you know, like, and that's even how we met, with going back on Tinder. Like at the end of the day, we're both homebodies. Like we're very creative people. We're very loving people, and we're both hardworking, right? But like our personalities are kind of like different in a way.
Before him, had you dated non-Black men, or like culturally?
Nah.
You're Liberian. He's Puerto Rican. Have any of those differences, like, did they give you apprehension in the beginning? Or have they come up in any way since?
I think when we were getting married, kind of, yes, I was like, I don't know if his family, like, kind of, like, is with there, though, but, like...
When did you meet his family? Like, how far into the relationship?
Early. Like, maybe, like, a month or two. We moved, like, so fast. We were, like, just, like, I don't know.
When you know,
worked.
you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just worked. Like, yeah, super early. Like, a month into that thing. It was, like, at her house, like, super cool. And... like, and they're our neighbors actually now still.
His family?
His mom and his stepfather, yeah.
Oh, so they live like next door?
Like 2 houses down. And then like his dad lives a block away from us. But like,
so how is that dynamic?
Like, you're like, which culture? So culturally, we actually have a lot of similarities, especially like when you talk about food, because when his grandma comes and I'm cooking something, because I cook mainly Liberian food, will say, wow, this tastes like so-and-so, or this and this. And there's so many connections in that. I feel like because I'm open to the Puerto Rican culture, I fit right in. And the fact that like my family has accepted him, you know, he totally always says like, I don't miss Puerto Rican food. I don't miss this. Like I won't say he feels Liberian, but he feels at home, you know, and I feel like at home with him. Once again, because we're both open to the culture. I think we're both well traveled. And I think had we not had those experiences and the understanding and the willingness to be open to these cultures, it wouldn't work, you know, because like I've dated other Black Americans or like Jamaicans, and it's just like there were similarities, but then there was also a lot of clashes. I don't know, with him, it just works living near his family. At first I was hella hesitant. I was like, nah.
I don't want your mama popping over all the time.
Exactly. Like, I would love to have this space that's just celebrating my African roots and just also what's happening in Puerto Rico. And so we were like, let's just find this place. And with his grandma's house being pretty much destroyed through the hurricane, she's not here to be able to take care of the house. And like a lot of his cousins and family really have also left the island. Just like the exodus is real for many Puerto Ricans, and they get opportunities, but him, his mother, his father, his stepfather have stayed. Like they're the only ones. So we came into this house, and seeing her come and visit and just kind of really just take care of the land, and just also I think in my grandma's passing made me realize that, you know, why aren't we grateful for what we have right here? Like, why are we always trying to search for what will come, and then if it's not like how we thought it was, we get mad, instead of just realizing like we're in the perfect space to do whatever we want, to love whoever we want, right? And so I just kind of sat and said okay, and then I realized like, okay, his mom's not even annoying. She doesn't pop up at their house. You know what I'm saying? Like it's more like we pop up, if anything.
Did she at first like totally accept it, or was she like, could you find a nice Puerto Rican girl or anything like that? Or
you know, I like asked him, like, you know, it was none of that. Also because his grandmother had to deal with racism for her own family because she married her husband, which was his grandfather, who was dark, like black, like blacker than me, black Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? And she wasn't against that. And when I see pictures of his great grandmother, I'm like, well, she was black too. Like, you know, but this illusion of identity is interesting. And so when I came in, they were super cool with that because it was like, I look like her father. I look like their cousins, you know. I'm not.
So they're Afro-Puerto Rican. Part of his family is like Afro-Puerto Rican?
Exactly. So, and I'm like lucky, you know, once again, he's not dark like me and whatever, but like at the end of the day, who am I to be like, you not black, you know, and who am I? But there are some experiences that he didn't encounter and they didn't encounter until like I was brought into the family. Like I remember his first racial instinct and he didn't even realize what was happening at the time we went to dinner. And it was like my godfather came and took us out to dinner in this place in Condado. I will not mention the name, but like
put them on blast if they were acting funny.
So we were at Oceano. I don't know if you've been there.
I haven't eaten there yet.
But I know some people go there, and we just thought it was a really great place. But the service was just terrible. They waited on us last. They wouldn't even acknowledge, they wouldn't take our order, and literally because we were like the only all-black group in this establishment. And it was funny because it was like, he probably has the most money in here, right? Because he's a well-established lawyer. Shout out to Mally Attorney Davis in Atlanta, right? Just holding it down. It's just like, wow, like you guys don't even realize who's at this table, and you guys are just being racist and ignorant.
It doesn't matter. Once they see the color, it doesn't matter.
When his wife, like, called out to the waiter, like, you know, this is what has happened. You guys can expect this, and so pretty much like spoke up. And I was also proud of her because it's like we could have just paid the bill and just left and not even like made a scene. She just brought to attention the racial conduct that they were doing. We weren't being obnoxious. You know, we were literally a beautiful family having or trying to have dinner, and we couldn't because we were pretty much erased that we were in this place, right? And so, you know, when Oscar was like explaining to him at the table, because he was like, "Oh, what's happening?" You know, with like the money.
Was he aware as it was happening, like, yo, they've served every table in here?
I don't think
despite the fact that we got here first.
Because it was like, I think because the conversation was so good, we were so into us, like he didn't realize it, you know, because that was also his first time meeting them. So he was so like into this moment and probably like, once again, like with the language barrier even as well, like he speaks English and he understands English, but there's sometimes like he doesn't understand everything. And there's and I do the same thing with Spanish. So I think because of his language, he wasn't even thinking about the color situation. He was just trying to be in this moment. And so once he noticed that there was some type of back and forth with, not like a back and forth, but like this discussion with the waiter and Jana, he was just like, wait, what's happening? And I was like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And then he was just like, whoa. And so once we told that to his mother, she even said, like, yeah, well, so that even goes to think about what has she probably gone through that he doesn't know, right? Being like a mixed Puerto Rican and like being in, working for the government, right? There's so many things that Afro-Puerto Ricans go through and they're not able to voice. And so when these things happen, like we don't know how to pretty much express this situation. So in talking to him and like being later going to his mom's house, because we were like, I was like pissed. I'm like, oh my God, like, you know,
we've all been there after something like that happened. Like you're pissed.
Yeah. And this is also why, like, you know,
because you realize it's only for one thing.
Luckily, I think because their grandfather or his grandfather was like black Puerto Rican, and we are conscious of like the racial tensions that happened with his grandmother. With me, they aren't disrespectful, and we don't have any of those situations, and I don't feel judged. I feel I am very more accepted and protected. Like if you say anything, like they're like ready to hold it down, and that's like a blessing because they could have been ignorant. You know, they could have pushed me away because, you know, not only am I black, but I'm also not from here. But I think because Oscar was really proud, and also because they have that consciousness and awareness, you know, I have had a better experience being married to him and married into this family. You know, we learn to really love ourselves and our identities, right? Once we find someone who helps us tap into that we want to, you know, be more of ourselves and less like another, right? Because you have someone who's just like, they're not judging you. They're like, what, this is beautiful, like, do that, right? And so, like, I feel like as Black people and people who are coming into their Black identities, having someone who supports you and also seeing your community or seeing people walk and honor their truth, it encourages you to do something similar. One thing I learned last week, it was like transcending your suffering. And I think that's like being like ingrained into my head. It's just like, okay, we focus on this negative. We stay so much on, oh, why I don't like it here, or that person, or why I shouldn't take this job or date this guy or girl, right? And then once you transcend your suffering, your Blackness or your whiteness or your limitations or whatever you have, and you learn from that, like all of those bad negative experiences that I had with these guys, or all of those bad experiences that I had in these countries that I went to or good, now I know how to, okay, I know what countries I want to travel to. I know what countries I want to travel to. I know what places I want to go. I know what kind of person I want to date. I know the person who I want to be, right? Mm-hmm. And once you have that and you're so whole in yourself and you aren't scared, you create space. You open space for people to be themselves.
Now, before you got married, did you always want to be married?
Yes, but I said no to many. Like, I'll be like, no, I don't want to. I want to just travel the world and, you know what I'm saying, write poetry, but whatever. I think I was just talking myself out of it because I was scared to believe that someone really wanted me and all my flaws. You know, I'm like, I'm totally not perfect. And so I was just like, I don't know, you know.
How is married life different than when you were single?
It's so much better. Even up until getting married, I was just like, you sure? You know, like, like you know, like, this is it. Like, this is it, you know? So marriage life for me, it has been the best thing that has ever happened to me. It's so fulfilling, and sometimes I feel so sad for people because I'm like, I know they're not getting this love, or I know they probably have all of these insecurities, and you know, I'm not supposed to have this, but I do, and I'm so grateful. Like, I'm like emotional about it because it's just like, you know, I didn't feel like I deserved it at one point, and I'm grateful. I'm totally grateful to be on this journey and that it's a great journey. And so I hope, once again, that everybody just finds someone that just loves them enough to just be, because once you have that, like, you're like limitless, you know, mm-hmm. Like, you have someone to support you, you have someone to hold you. And especially as a Black woman who has to be like so strong in her community and has to do so much, to come home and just have someone that I can just lean on.
To just let go.
Feels so good. It feels so good. And I just, you know, wish this love and peace and encouragement. And it's not fucking perfect all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, there may be some bad days, but not even bad days, maybe bad moments, because we don't even stay in that negative situation. Like, we really love each other, and that's beautiful, you know. And once again, I didn't think that was ever gonna happen. I'm like so emotional right now. I didn't think that would happen to me, and I'm just blessed because I do get to experience that with someone. So that makes me feel really good. It makes me feel really great.
Sorry. Don't make me cry.
Sorry. I'm like, yeah, like, damn it.
What's your favorite thing about your husband?
He's patient with me. He's not patient with everybody, but he's patient with me. And that's my favorite thing about this man. Because, like, oof. Yeah, I don't know. I think that is just having someone who will wait for you and take their time with you and nurture you. That is something that I love about him, because no one has ever done that. Yeah, they were like, everyone has their own other worries, and even myself, I'm like, and even myself, I had to like really like slow down and be like, Issa, it's not always about you. Like, you need to be there with this man. You know what I'm saying? You need to really love this man. You got to pour into this man as well, because he does so much for you, you know, and like, you got to like, so I'm like, oh yeah. So it's mutual how much like And it's crazy because he really makes me so aware of that. And I think it's because of his patience, because we're so quick to just like dismiss someone when they don't understand us or they don't do things our way or they challenge us, right? But even in all those moments, like he's still patient with me to be able to grow and to learn. And that's a blessing because it's just like, okay, this is real, you know? So that's why I love his patience.
So what do you think the hardest part of marriage is?
I think the hardest part of marriage is not knowing what the future holds. Like there's so much things coming, and so I think not knowing kind of kills us. But I think it's just like we're
like
just,
not knowing what, like
anything, like with our children, we're not still sure, and I think that's another thing we'll plan on later because they're kind of really free and liberal, and like what our children will do, where they'll be, where will they grow up? You know, will we be in Puerto Rico? Will I relocate and be able to teach somewhere else in the Caribbean? Are we going back to Georgia?
Why are you worried about all that?
I'm not, but because I'm, you know, motherfuckers be always asking you like, so when's the baby's coming? So that's the, I think maybe the hard part is like not knowing how to answer those questions. It's just like,
here's the answer. You mind your uterus and I'll mind mine.
So I always say, you gonna come take care of these babies?
Right. As soon as you're ready to financially contribute and babysit whenever, you're more than welcome to my uterus and when it'll be doing what. Until then, I'll keep this here.
Exactly. See, I think that's how I'll be my anxiety, but apart there, so I don't know. I don't think we...
You know what? I saw a friend sent me this thing and I feel it appropriate to share. But a friend of mine who is married, her and her husband decided she's never wanted children, but it was important to her that when she met somebody that they were on the same page with that, because obviously like she was like, I'm not going to change with this. But long story short, she gets a lot of comments and questions about like her and her husband. They both do really well. Like they're both great. And they've been married now for a couple years. And so they always get that question. But anyway, it was this thing she on XO Nicole that she sent me. And it says, what not to say to women without children. Give that man a child before he finds someone else that will. You'd be a great mom, though. You'll regret it later. But you have so much space. Anyway, the list goes on and on and on. And I didn't think deeply about it until I read this list. And I'm like, why do people think they have the right to say this to people? Like, regardless of if they want children, if they don't, why is there this automatic assumption that because I've taken this step, it means I have to or want to take the other step? And I'm on some sort of timeline to do so. Like, you know what I mean? So I hadn't been sensitive or really aware of the issue until this. Because people do ask me that, but because I'm not married, they don't ask it as much. But I could see if we got married to be like, so when are you?
As soon as.
Right. And I'm just like, but why is that? Why do you care?
Because I feel like, you know, there's these like rules and there's like this pattern that we're supposed to do. And so when people don't follow those patterns, people are like, whoa.
Tell them mind their uterus. I'm going to make t-shirts called Mind Your Own Uterus.
DRL right in the bottom.
Right. Hashtag DRL. Mind Your Own Uterus.
There you go. That's how we doing it. And we're going to be great regardless.
So yeah, don't worry about that. That's your business. That's your uterus and whatever y'all decide, because that's your bills and your kid that you're going to have to pay for.
Exactly. So. Oh my God. Last year I was like, oh, I'm going to wait. I want to go to Carnival. So now the baby's on hold. So I go to Carnival next year. I'll experience that again. That's dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many things we want to look forward to. Like, the hell?
I'm super realistic about kids. And whenever people think about kids, I think they tend to think about, same with marriage, they tend to think about, like, the beauty in it. And there is such beauty in it. But, like, they don't think about the hard parts, you know? And I tend to do that. I'm like, yeah, it's great, but there's this and there's that. And there's a lot of decisions to be made. And it's not like, can't take it lightly. You can't just be like, yeah, I'm going to get married. Yeah, I'm going to have to, like, you really have to think about how all of that fits into who you are and your goals and what you want.
Yeah.
And that's nobody else's uterus to mind but your own.
Exactly. Let them know that. And we move forward.
So what is going on next for you? So you and your husband are renovating your place.
Yes.
And you guys are turning it into an Airbnb. Yes. And you currently are doing like, is it a cooking experience?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Tell me about that.
So Kula's Kitchen is just inspired by my late grandmother, Kula Tolbert. And she was just known for her cooking. Like, you wanted some good Liberian food, you go to her. Always cooking, always in the kitchen, and would always tell me, Issa, go get your copybook, write down these recipes. And, we didn't realize like how important and valuable this stuff was until you leave home. I've created this experience that teaches people about not only just my Liberian culture, but also Afro-Puerto Rican history in bringing celebration to my African identity and what's happening in Puerto Rico and what's happening in the world. I'm cooking for them. I'm telling them this good news. I have this great library, literally over 200 books of not only
shaped like Africa
and more. And that just teaches people and just makes people have this home experience outside of San Juan. We are creating our home and a space that we can be ourselves, that we don't have to really, not that we don't want to leave, but we don't have to really be dependent on the others, right? And
right.
We've studied so much and we've worked so hard for other people, and now, and especially thinking about children, if we can create a home, right, in a workplace that we are kind of here, our children can be here and they can grow and have something that they don't feel forced to be like the other. They can just be.
Right.
So that's where we're embracing everything that has been poured into us, and we're celebrating ourselves. And I want other people to be able to celebrate themselves and come through and, just be open.
So you're also a poet.
Yeah.
How does that work? Like, how does that's a weird question, but like, how does a modern day poet work?
We're so, we're like chameleons, we do so much, we can be so many things. Like, I've been writing for a long time, but I've been really writing in the past 7 years, and I actually have proof. Like, I have journals, and it's just like, now what am I going to do with this?
Are your poems like abstract? Are they very real? Or like, how... Can you read us a poem?
Okay. Wow. Let me type in. That's what I want to share.
Every time I have a comedian, I'm like, tell me a joke.
No, I'm not one of those. Okay, boom. I know from the top. I actually just submitted to a contest right before I came here. So
okay,
hopefully they publish my stuff.
Okay, we'll publish it here on DRL, and then we'll see if they. We want it here. Okay,
yes, we are here live. So I'm gonna read this one I just wrote called "Home is Where You Eat Plantains." Home is Where You Eat Plantains by Cozett. Under the guanabana tree, roots refined in riches. Round the island, a call is heard through the birds, who migrated away, who sometimes stay. Home is where you eat plantains that were planted by your abuelita, who visits once a year, reminding herself to always come back, always use sofrito, always add fried pepper. Whether it's mofongo or fufu, boiled or fried banana, sometimes we find ourselves in the bottom of a new bowl that tastes like home, tastes like the ocean's richness, tastes like treasures of la tierra.
That's so dope.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming on today and sharing
thank you
your
for
story.
Because got me emotional, and I don't even know you like that. You got me crying. And I was like, you're crying, like, girl. But seeing love will do that to you. It will open you up to beautiful things and allow us
always,
to just be. So I'm grateful. Thank you for creating this space for people to be able to be open about their truths, right? And their dating experiences.
I love this. This is my favorite thing to do. I could do this all day. I just don't want to edit, but I could do this all day.
Right. The real truth.
So where can people reach out to you? And also, where can they listen to your podcast?
Yes. I am Issa Cozett, ESSAH, COZETT on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And then you can find my podcast, Issa's Way, on Instagram. I'm not where I started, but I know I have a long way to go, but it's a beautiful journey, and I'm grateful, to just be able to be open and not be scared anymore. I used to
just
be
let
so
it out.
scared.
Just let it out.
Let it all out and live.
When you're not scared, like, people aren't scared. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
When you embrace everything that you are, other people will too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I see. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you again. Thank you again for this. And thank you guys so much for listening today. Please reach out to me at Tennesha Wood on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and let me know what you think of today's show. And until next time, wish me love.
Hello again, my lovely listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of DRL. If you like the show, be sure to go on iTunes and leave a rating and also write a review. And don't forget to share with your friends and tell them all about DRL. Thank you so much for supporting.